Ladies and gentlemen, Elio has bombed at the box office, unsurprisingly. And on top of that, it is the lowest grossing Pixar movie ever at the box office opening, even lower than Toy Story in the early 90s. And this is not adjusted for inflation at all. It is still lower even with what Toy Story got, not adjusted for inflation. It is by far the lowest opening that Pixar has ever had, and there's lots of pandemonium about it and panic and analyzing from different sides. And at this point, though, for me, I'm tired of all of that. I've talked about my stance on this all for years now, and it seems like every year post-COVID, the same conversations take place from the box office analysts talking just a movie bombed. Like, a movie bombing is not a surprise anymore, even if it's from a big brand or anything that was once thriving. Movies just bomb regularly. It's news if a movie does well, but not if it bombs. But, the usual people will come out saying people just don't want to go see original films anymore, maybe it was the marketing that was bad, all that stuff. My stance is still the same. I believe that there is a market out there for original films. I think that Hollywood is a woefully out of touch place that has no idea what to make or how to market it for the mainstream public in order to get them interested in these films. Because I think that Hollywood is run by a bunch of dinosaurs that are not in touch with the audience and don't understand what they want. And during the time that was maybe 2016 to now, they have severely damaged all of their brands at different points in time, including the brand that is Pixar, where I've said before, Pixar is unrecognizable from what it used to be, so they no longer have the train where people would check things out just because it's Pixar or Disney Animation or Marvel or Star Wars or whatever. So that's my little spiel on Elio. But since that's out of the way now, I want to say 2025 has been shockingly, perhaps an even worse year at the box office than 2024. And I said 2024 was the worst year of movies I had ever lived through. 2025 is shaping up to be worse, where the most positive I've been on a movie lately was the How to Train Your Dragon remake, which I did through gritted teeth because I disagree that our big movies of the day are just rehashes of things that came out before. So it's pretty bleak, and Hollywood knows it is pretty bleak. But all eyes are on the box office of July, because July is supposed to be the big month for Hollywood this year, the make or break month. In a year where no film has gotten $1 billion, where it used to be very easy, they're probably going to leave Lilo and Stitch in there so that it just inches out to that, but not even the Minecraft movie got $1 billion. In this year, all eyes are on July, because there's 3 movies there that are supposed to do really well, and that's gonna bring Hollywood out of this little funk where it's been very shoddy this year. But I have to say, things are not looking that promising for July so far. It could be, and there's a possibility that all 3 of those films underperform. Now, that's not certain, and it might be that one of the films, at least like maybe Superman, could go either way. But the fact that it is even on the table at all for these 3 films in July to underperform should tell you a lot about just the state of Hollywood, that these are 3 films from brands and franchises that used to be guaranteed hits at the box office. And if they don't work, what does that say about the state of the industry and where it needs to go? Or if just because of the people running it now, it has nowhere to go. They still won't know what to do if these 3 films underperform. Now, yes, like I'm saying, it is possible that Jurassic World Rebirth, Superman, and Fantastic Four First Steps underperform. And I'm not saying that it's certain yet, but let's talk about the stats here. Jurassic World Rebirth was one that a lot of people thought was the for sure slam dunk, because Jurassic World movies in the past have done well at the box office, making $1 billion each despite negative critical reception. But it is not looking likely for Jurassic World Rebirth. They reported that the opening is just going to be around $150 million, and that is significantly less than the openings for the previous films. And I was reading tweets from people who are box office analysts and stuff and saying that actually the pre-sales and just what that we can infer from what that will mean for walk-up business and things like that is much more significantly low for Jurassic World Rebirth, and that there's a chance it might not even open to $100 million domestically. It is a far cry for what the Jurassic World Dominion did. So, surprisingly, despite people thinking, and myself included, thinking that Jurassic World Rebirth was going to be a slam dunk, whether it was good or bad, it's not looking like it. It looks like it's a clear case of diminishing returns. And when you think about it, it does make sense. Jurassic World, the very first one, was the first reboot of this franchise, and it had Chris Pratt, who was this big star at the time. So even when there was more negativity towards the films, especially the middle one, Jurassic House, I think that it was the Rise of Skywalker effect, where even if people weren't liking them, they just wanted to watch them just to finish off the trilogy. But now this is a reboot of the reboot, and it doesn't have Chris Pratt, and there doesn't seem to be really much of a different plot to the movie that we haven't seen before, and Scarlett Johansson has not proven to be the box office draw lately that someone like Chris Pratt was. And I think that the rot of the franchise finally settled in, and so it is amazing to see that no, Jurassic World Rebirth, it is not looking like this is going to be a $1 billion hit. Now we have to see, maybe it will open with $100 million at the box office, maybe it still will do well or the best out of the three, but it looks like $1 billion is off the table for it. But the fact that this has a chance to not even come in at 100 million, the fact that this is going to underperform if it doesn't make $1 billion, that should say a lot. Like, this is another IP that Hollywood has exhausted, and that they might not be able to go to anymore to milk to death, as has been the culture behind the scenes of Hollywood. They just find IPs to milk to death. And then there is Superman, and box office tracking came online first from Deadline, and it said $90 to $125 million. But of course, that was a number that they pulled from the studio's estimate. Meanwhile, the official box office tracking sites were saying that it could be maybe $110 million to $145 million. And then another site came out and said it could be $135 million. They are all over the place with their projections for Superman, and I think it's because there's so much at stake with this film. There's the stake of James Gunn's career, the future of DC, the future of WB, and the future of being able to milk the superhero genre at the box office. So I think that these projections are all over the place because there's too much emotional investment in it, and they don't know what to expect, or they don't know what to lowball it, or to think that it is going to be a clear slam dunk hit. But I gotta say, I posted about the 90 to 125 million number on here, and I was shocked at how many Superman fans thought that was good. Like, guys, 90 million is how much Captain America Brave New World got at the box office, and that cratered and only got 400 million worldwide. The problem with these superhero movies is they are very, very front-loaded, and they haven't been doing very well internationally lately. So if word of mouth is really bad, that can really tank a film if it only opens that low in the first place. A Superman movie opening at 90 million would be absolutely disastrous. And then, of course, there's some projections that say it could be 100 to 110 million, which are Man of Steel numbers, getting in the $600 million range. But places like The Wrap are reporting that Superman needs to be getting to $700 million in order to be considered a success by the studio, be considered profitable, and that is possible with the $135 number. That is as much as the Batman opened with, and if it gets a good reception. But you see, it's really up in the air, and once again, like these other projections, if Superman even has the potential to not make 100 million, remember, it used to be so easy for big blockbusters to get 100 million at the domestic box office at their opening. The fact that it might open lower than that, and I still think that that is a possibility, because out of the 11 DC movies released up to this point, only one of them has been profitable. The Batman, which is the only character that DC again and again has proven can still sell. Even in the comics, Batman still sells, but Superman struggles to sell. So while I think that it's still possible that Superman has a big opening at the very least, it is also, I would not be a bit surprised, because what we have seen time and time and again with DC movies is that they think that the iconography of these characters and the internet hype from the fans that conglomerate there is going to push it to be a big hit at the opening box office. But we see time and time and again that the mainstream just isn't there. That's what happened with The Flash, where they were saying it was going to easily get over 100 million domestically. I think it only opened at 69 or 74 million. So I am expecting that. It could go either way with Superman, but I would not be a bit surprised if it does underperform a bit because of the market right now. But we have to see the critical reception of it. But then there is Fantastic Four: First Steps. Now, this is the one movie that we do not have official tracking for just yet, and we probably won't for another week or two. But I gotta be honest, like, I'm not seeing it being so great for this movie either. I'm not seeing the hype there that you would want for a Marvel movie. It's in trouble because of the brand damage done to the Fantastic Four, the brand damage done to Marvel, where even when a good Rotten Tomatoes score comes in, as we saw with Thunderbolts, doesn't really move the needle on it, and just terrible lackluster casting as we've seen with it, and a lot of negative talk from fans online like me when we've heard leaks of the plot and what's going to happen, and just knowing what is in the movie. And I think that they just made a mistake by doing that public test screening. I just have a hard time believing that it is going to leg out for Fantastic Four and that that's going to be the hit. What we've heard from box office analysts right now is that it's on par with Superman in terms of pre-sale, so we have to see. Like Superman, it could go either way. But according to that public test screening audiences were just very meh on the film. And like I said, things that I've heard about it makes me think that it's probably going to be another front-loaded Marvel film that fails in the coming weeks. So yes, we are looking at 3 films there that are at serious risk. And whatever happens with them, like if Superman is successful, then that will keep the superhero genre up going forward for years to come. Even if it maybe underperforms just slightly but gets a wonderful critical reception, then I think that it could keep the superhero genre alive, even if Fantastic Four doesn't do well. But what we are looking at here is also the potential of that Hollywood gets told that the Jurassic World franchise, not viable for money as much anymore. Superhero movies, not viable for money as much anymore. And superhero movies have been the main thing that they've been banking on for years to save them. So what is going to happen when they continuously cannibalize these IPs and continuously find doors shut about what they can milk? Are they going to just have to find even more IPs to milk to death? Or are they ever going to learn their lesson from any of these stuff that you cannot rely on dying brands forever, and that eventually you do beat these things to death when you don't take care of them? In other words, this is one of the most crucial Julys we have ever seen of what it's going to say about the industry, but it really should not be like this. In better times, 3 blockbusters from major franchises in a month would have been a slam dunk, a very exciting July, and I wish I could be excited for these 3 movies. But the decisions that they have made with these franchises over the years has really killed my fandom and my faith that these could actually be good. So instead of being excited for the potential of what these films could be, I'm just here to wait to see how the rest of the audience feels about them and what the box office says, and if that's even going to mean anything for the industry, because it seems that they've never learned any lessons from any of their failures over the past 5 or 6 years now. But I say stay tuned for this, because it is about to get very interesting in these next 5 weeks watching these films, and pay attention to how the industry reacts to them, if at all, and what the future of the entertainment industry after years, 5 years, a half a decade of just endless strife means. And will bomb after bomb after bomb ever do anything to affect how things are run and made behind the scenes? Stay tuned for more videos on this. Thank you all for watching this little box office analysis, and please subscribe so you can watch my breakdown of the Riri Williams Ironheart show portraying tomorrow night. It's going to be a 3-hour event because they're slamming 3 50-minute episodes all together. So you heard it from here first. Thank you all for watching. Thank you patrons and members as always. If you want to support me, please consider becoming a patron or a member, and I will see you guys next time.